Hi, in this video we'll be giving concise overviews of every single character in Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. We've taken in feedback from the standalone videos and given it all an extra layer of polish. Enjoy. Akira Yuki is the no-nonsense poster boy of the Virtua Fighter series. Although simple in design, Akira holds the reputation for being one of the more executionally demanding characters in the series. He employs the Chinese martial art Baji Chuan, which is known for its explosive short-range power and is famous for its elbow and shoulder strikes. Although Akira falls short on traditional string-based mix-ups and circular attacks, he more than makes up for this weakness with his peerless ability to open an opponent up and crush even the sturdiest of defenses. Akira focuses on utilizing his arsenal of powerful yet safe single strikes, such as his dash elbow and super dash elbow, to pressure opponents and create the openings he needs to swiftly end the round. Akira's game plan is as straightforward as they come. Press the attack, make your opponent freeze up, then expose them with throws and guard breaks. His Kaiko guard break can open up the opponent to big damage, and of course there's the infamous guard break of Doom that sends them reeling and feels as good as it looks, if you can pull it off. In the right hands, Akira is truly a force of nature, but may not be best suited for beginners as some of his better tools require complicated inputs and precise timings. Devote some time to the dojo, however, and you'll get one of the most fun and rewarding characters on the roster. If you're looking for a character who can overwhelm opponents with insane offensive pressure and the ability to turn the tide quickly, then step into battle with Akira Yuki and dive elbow first into the wonderful world of Virtua Fighter.
Aoi Umenokoji. Aoi exudes a gentle air of demure elegance that's almost as disarming as her moveset. Aoi draws hidden strength from her nimble frame through her expert use of Aikijujutsu, a martial art designed to redirect an attacker's aggression and punish them with powerful throws and joint locks. Brute strength alone will not defeat her. Through practiced use of her reversals and Tenchi stance, Aoi can leverage the most complete defensive toolkit in the game to shut down huge portions of her opponent's offense. While Aoi sits atop the mountain in terms of her defensive options, she's no slouch on the attack either. Using her unique attack-cancelling Sundome system alongside strong throws and positioning techniques, she can comfortably control the pace of the match and create favourable positions for her to shine. Although the fighting fan dancer might not have the raw damage of other characters and has the weakness of being fairly lightweight, Aoi is more than capable of turning the tide of any match. As so much of Aoi's strength comes from being able to read and condition opponents, it's hard for beginners to realise her full potential. More advanced players will find Aoi's toolkit fantastic to work with, and she can expose player weaknesses and capitalise on them unlike any other. If you enjoy deconstructing your opponent piece by piece and making them second guess every action, then Aoi is for you.
Brad Burns is an audacious and hyper-confident fighter who's just as comfortable on the dance floor as he is in the ring. His luck with the ladies aside, this Italian stallion's confidence in his abilities is not misplaced. Through years of devotion to the art of Muay Thai, Brad has honed his body into an ultra-versatile weapon of war. Brad excels in many areas and has very few weaknesses inherent to the character. With some of the best punishment options in the game, Brad can dish out incredible amounts of damage very quickly. Utilizing his long limbs, Brad is able to comfortably fight at range and poke holes in an opponent's defense before using his slips and ducks to close the distance and work his way inside to deliver powerful elbows and knees. Though Brad's throws deal less damage than most, he has access to his Muay Thai clinch and many strong circular attacks to help stifle the opponent's movement. Brad is better suited for intermediate to advanced players due to his stance usage, but beginners can definitely get value from his high-performance strikes, strings, and powerful offensive options. If you value a versatile offense with plenty of opportunities to bully your opponent, then you should definitely consider getting in line for the Brad Show.
Might makes right!
Eileen. Agile, acrobatic, and annoying. Eileen is a polarizing character, but love her or hate her, there's no denying that this tiny girl packs a pretty good punch in the right hands. With her distinctive style of monkey kung fu, Eileen keeps her opponent guessing with fast and fluid strikes from deceptive and evasive stances. Eileen's slick moveset allows her to quickly spring in and out of close range and go over and under opponents' attacks. Strikes like Enko Kenka and Enko Tekito give Eileen the ability to slip under highs and steal back a turn in disadvantageous situations, enabling her to continuously pressure with a near limitless box of tricks. Her unique cancel mechanic allows her to open up people with the ability to freely chain strings into one another, cancelling into the likes of Taisei Renteki, Renshu Bensui, and Sendantai. Street Fighter style not only extends strings, but can offer opportunities as hit confirms when fishing for counter hits. Against players who aren't familiar with this tiny terror, Eileen can get into their head and win the battle before it even begins. Eileen's key weakness is that as an extremely lightweight character, she is susceptible to huge damage and combos and can be carried further towards walls or the edge of the ring. For all her strengths, this dire need for some nourishment does place her firmly at the bottom of most tier lists. Your ring awareness and defensive ability need to be at their best with Eileen, more than any other character in the cast, as one mistake can result in an all expenses tour of the arena and beyond. Eileen is fairly easy to pick up, and you can start to reap rewards with her quite quickly. As such, she's a solid choice for intermediate players. Beginners, however, may struggle to offset the extra damage they take whilst learning to defend, and more advanced players might become frustrated at higher levels due to the imbalanced risk-reward that comes with her. The Monkey Queen is purpose-built for players who like to frustrate their opponents and throw out a seemingly never-ending whirlwind of attacks.
次に会うまでに、はっ、もっと強くなってね。
Soaring in from Mexico comes Virtua Fighter's resident masked marvel, L Blaze. Loud, proud, and fearless, L Blaze jumps, flips, and cartwheels headfirst into the fray. A traditional luchador, L Blaze is a close-range specialist who makes use of powerful throws and high-flying techniques to cut his opponents down to size. As a fantastically well-rounded character with a plethora of powerful options, and possibly the most oppressive wake-up game in Virtua Fighter, this small blaze can grow into a full-blown inferno if left unchecked. Very much the glass cannon of the series, as a featherweight, he shares many of the same weaknesses as Eileen, and can struggle with his short reach. But his damage output from combos and his powerful throws should be respected. Using his rocket discharge technique, L Blaze can chase down opponents and close distance fast. It can also be cancelled into off of moves like his Shadow Spear and Shadow Spin Kick, making his strong pokes even more effective. While dashing forwards with rocket discharge, the lightweight luchador has many options including flying mids, unblockable highs, sliding lows, fake outs, catch throws, and more. This makes getting up after a knockdown terrifying for the opponent, as there's seldom a range or a wake-up option that can guarantee their safety. Equipped with some nice pressure tools, combo starters, and a gallery of mesmerizing throws, this flame feeds on the momentum and tempo of the match, and if he's left to dictate it, will burn through any opposition. A great pick for intermediate players and beginners alike. This hot dog enthusiast has everything you need to succeed, and look good while doing it. More advanced players can still find success with Blaze, but against strong opposition, you may have to dial back the heat just a bit. If you like relentless aggression and extravagant acrobatics, there's no better choice than the unstoppable weapon that is L Blaze.
Ha! I am the ultimate.
Goh Hinogami. A highly trained and vicious assassin, Goh was bred for battle and emanates a terrifying aura of savage brutality. Ironically, Goh adopts judo, the gentle way, as his chosen method of murder, taking advantage of forceful throws and takedowns to subdue his prey. These techniques, refined over decades of intense training, are supplemented with the striking skills of a bona fide maniac. Goh has incredibly high damage potential, with a number of strong counter-hit launchers, such as Suke Kage, and not unlike Akira, he lacks a lot in the way of traditional string-based mix-ups, but he makes up for this with a keen focus on strong individual strikes and throws designed to catch his opponent off guard and tear through them with destructive glee. Using dominating Sabaki techniques, Goh can cut through his opponent's offense and pull them into his Sakami grapple, one of the biggest multi-way guesses in the game, and he even has the unique ability to punish opponents who try to throw him by breaking their grips and throwing them himself with Tsukami Geishi. With a low execution barrier and a very high return on simple techniques, Goh is perhaps one of the best beginner characters in Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. And the fun doesn't stop there. Players willing to delve into the technical aspects of Goh can realise the full potential of his lethal skills. For players who like big damage and ferocious violence, Goh is the only choice.
Older brother of Sarah Bryant and renowned handcuffer of Lightning, Jacky Bryant brings his confidence and resolve from the racetrack to the ring with his Jeet Kune Do style, known for its powerful strikes and blistering speed. And it's this combination of speed, strength, stylishness, and simplicity that makes Jacky one of the most effective and enduringly popular characters in Virtua Fighter. Jacky's string-intensive kit allows him to constantly keep the opponent on the back foot, and enables a combo conversion from just about any stray hit, no matter how small. This fast-paced, aggressive style is complemented by some of the best circular attacks in the game, such as spinning arm kick, or his high full circular spinning kick, which has a low circular can follow-up. Not only are Jacky's strings incredibly fast, they're also very safe. A good Jacky player can effectively poke at their opponent in relative safety before capitalizing on the slightest gap in their defense and delivering a devastating combo. Lightweights beware, Jacky will clear half your life bar before you even realize what's hit you. Aside from his insane damage and mobility, Jacky is the only character capable of switching foot position prior to round start with his built-in mechanic, Switch Step. If you're looking for a fast, aggressive character with a blatant disregard for frame disadvantage and human reaction times, then speed into pole position with Jacky Bryant. Yeah!
Ha! It's like you're moving in slow motion.
Jean Kujo. Making his first appearance in the comparatively recent Virtua Fighter 5R, Jean Kujo is the lone karateka in the Virtua Fighter series and one of many victims/projects of Judgment 6. This fighting Frenchman is very much large and in charge and uses his weighty, muscular physique to intimidate any opponent that's not willing to stand their ground, capitalising on the overly defensive with devastating staggers and guessing games, particularly at the wall. Besides his karate, the unique thing that Jean brings to the Virtua Fighter series is his ability to charge attacks mid-string in order to set up mix-up opportunities. A shining example of this is something known affectionately as his Lil Knee, which can branch off into numerous strings, including a will-he-won't-he mix-up of punch, charge punch, or a charge punch cancelled into a kick, effectively rendering the opponent vulnerable to a high, mid, and low option all in the same string. Similarly, as Tate MP threatens a high, unblockable kick, with a guaranteed knockdown that can cancel into a punch if you dare to barrier it, or a faster mid if you dare to duck it. These mix-ups don't end as strings either, as gameplay revolves heavily around filling your life with despair and setting up a classic mid versus throwny taku game if the target succumbs to the constant barrage of strings and tricky to punish big hitters. When it's time to move in for the kill, Jean can take the safe option with his signature Gyaku Seiken amongst other safe single hitters. But with such damage and juggles to hand, it's all too tempting to tilt the risk reward and unleashes not so lil, full fat Yamakazushi Knee. As a character that benefits from bullying the opponent, his main downsides come from the two things that all bullies fear the most: the kid that doesn't take the bait, and the kid that can bully back. So if they show that they aren't afraid of Jean's not too threatening throws, or if they're willing to barrier and dick punch through the storm, Jean has to resort to bigger and bigger risk taking which can sometimes result in self-assassination. That aside, the Judgment 6 Assassin is a great candidate for any beginner thanks to long branch and combo strings and a ready-to-go all-offense game plan, along with some cool stance stuff, sabakis, and fuzzy control that can quickly make you realise why he calls everybody else peasants.
Jeffry McWild is a man of the sea. This heavyweight Pancratian practitioner sails the oceans of the world in search of his nemesis, the elusive Devil Shark. If his huge physique didn't tip you off, Jeffry is a hard-hitting character. But despite his enormous damage potential, Jeffry is also one of the simplest characters in the game in terms of execution. The infamous Splash Mountain is capable of wiping out half the opponent's entire health bar in one fell swoop. Outside of this, Jeffry possesses a wide variety of tools, such as long-range pokes, insane wall combo potential, and powerful moves against opponents trying to get up. Due to the versatility of his moveset, Jeffry suffers from a relatively useless threat stance, which is actually not very threatening at all outside of combos. He also has some high-risk, high-reward launches, such as his knee attack. Due to these unsafe launches, success with Jeffry hinges on fundamentals and reading your opponent. While this may seem like a downside, his no-frills, straightforward approach to battle makes Jeffry one of the best characters for beginners looking to get acquainted with Virtua Fighter, since there's comparably little risk of picking up bad habits, as can often happen with some of the more complex characters in the game. If you're looking for a character that runs on simple fundamentals, all whilst dishing out some truly preposterous damage, then Jeffry McWild is the character for you.
I'm the world's strongest!
Kage Maru. From the village of Hagakure, Kage is the ultimate ninja. His mother was kidnapped by Judgment 6 to be used for the Dural project, and he's here to shut them down. In terms of gameplay, Kage can be quite a complicated character, utilising his stances to find a gap in his opponent's defences. While both stances have defensive properties, Jumonji Kame has moves that traverse lows as well as some general trickery for snuffing out offense, while Shippuden positions Kage away from short strikes and under highs with the intention of counterattacking, making it the more offensive stance of the two. These stances can be switched into on their own or cancelled into from attacks, sometimes from the same attack, meaning there are lots of creative and situational options that Kage can choose from, where he'll be rewarded for correctly gauging the tempo of the match and responding offensively, defensively, high or low, or somewhere in between in the right moments. He's most well known for his throw, referred to by his enemies as the 10-foot toss. This throw provides excellent carry and damage on all but the most heavyweight characters in the game, often resulting in spectacular round ends. Aside from his formidable throw, Kage has a decent number of strings at his disposal, which give the player a chance to mix up their opponent with his stance transitions. He has some nice normal hit launchers, including his Shippuden, which is safe on block and deals quite reasonable damage for a safe normal hit-in launcher. Kage's true strength, however, comes in the form of his mobility and varied options for attacks, requiring more than a set-and-forget game plan to get by. Many of Kage's attacks have evasive properties, allowing him, to an extent, to ignore concepts such as Nutaku and attack out of turn. However, due to these evasive properties, many of Kage's attacks are quite slow and can become his downfall when faced with more experienced opponents. Kage is the perfect pick for those looking for a highly mobile character which will allow them to play around their opponent's patterns and get creative with their offense.
Guardian of Koenken, the Tiger Swallow Fist style, decorated master chef, and strict father to Pai, Lau Chan is a menacing all-rounder with an emphasis on offense and pinning the opponent to the edge if they stray too close to it. Lau is known for long strings that can be further extended through good application of his koke stance. Kage can be slipped into during strings, providing Lau with the frame advantage he needs to set up throws and nitaku mix-ups. This straightforward approach does, however, require that you fight without hesitation, since when he's in Kage, Lau loses virtually all of his movement and defensive options, and is vulnerable to being launched if he goes into it without chambering a strong follow-up. So strike with confidence. It's not often that we talk about the mid-range and closing distance in Virtua Fighter, since your feet are almost always in the fire. Lau, however, is one of the few characters that can sit comfortably from a distance and either poke or react, thanks to a lofty sidekick that can also string into punches, the threat of which also grants him access, once again, into Kage stance. There are other nice mid-range options with similar themes like Junho Rensho and Ho'o Sousho, which can confirm into strings and follow-ups of their own. These, once again, include critical routes into yet more Kage stance options for additional crushing pressure, resulting in a torrent of offense where Lau can easily craft his own throw and guard break opportunities. There is a cost to all this crushing offense though. One of the downsides to Lau is his dependence on switching into Kage in order to cover his otherwise weak, often punishable or risky stringed approaches. So it's more of a barrier to his intermediate and higher level play than an out-of-the-box benefit. Alongside this stance necessity, Lau requires you to be very savvy with the finer complexities of wall combo mechanics and ring awareness, so that you can reap as much damage as possible once you finally break through. So, like Lau, you'll have to put in the Kung, hard training, and Fu, time investment, to make Tiger Swallow Fist a worthwhile option in the long run. If you want an all-rounder with strong fundamentals, free-flowing combo strings, and a clear upstream for development, Lau Chan is the chef's recommendation.
お主とは覚悟が違うわ。
Lei-Fei. Tasked with stealing the secrets of the Tiger Swallow Fist style from Lau, Lei-Fei has armed himself with 4,000 years of Northern Shaolin proficiency in order to complete his grand mission. And he's done his homework. Lei flaunts his knowledge by weaving in and out of his additional 7 styles and stances, which switch up his height, range, moveset, and his available combo paths into follow-up stance switches too. This turns Lei into a walking knowledge check, who can be very frustrating to fight against, and he's well equipped with short, sharp responses for any wandering attacks that fly by. A nice example of his deceptive Shaolin style is the Kakushu Suigeki. On paper, this is a pretty standard 16-frame, half-circular made with a mild threat of a follow-up punch. However, this move can also allow him to transfer into his Kyoshiki stance and turn that -6 into a +4 on block, forcing the opponent into a guessing game if they don't eat the frame trap, or a gateway into more powerful stances and mix-ups if they freeze up entirely. His unique and intimidating movement is complemented by his ability to comfortably attack from all ranges, predominantly through the use of his fastest mid, Tosho, that covers ground fast, setting up launchers and wall staggers upon landing. As a warrior known for accumulating various techniques, Lei even pulls from rival franchises with his Kaiso Tento Namco launcher, a mid-hitting, linear, punishable launcher that slips under highs and mids, providing a reliable combo starter and game plan foundation for anyone visiting from the Tekken side of things. Setting this up takes little more than gaining frame advantage or Okizeme, crossing your fingers and letting it rip with the strength Lei's been yearning for. The game plan may be to overwhelm and dazzle the opponent with everything he's got in his arsenal, but with a predictable throw game and a recurring vulnerability to his front, it's important to keep the fireworks firing. If your opponent gets a chance to see through the smoke, the flying thunder can quickly fizzle out. If you like the idea of overcoming your opponent with a vast array of tools and command of a gigantic esoteric flowchart, then Lei-Fei has got your back. And your front. And the floor. And now he's got their back. He's got you covered. He's got you covered.
この強さが欲しかったのだ。
Young, rich, and angry at his dad, Leon Rafale hopes that his kung fu proficiency will be the key to his freedom and away from his family's shady business. Utilizing the evasive yet menacing northern praying mantis style, his strengths are in his deadly mix-up potential and an offense that almost as frustrating as his voice.
My time is here!
Almost. With a pestering fighting style and overall demeanor, Leon's main route to victory is to irritate his opponent with lows that grant access to staggers, launches, and side-turn states that further enhance his ability to send them towards walls and edges. It's here that Leon really excels, with an ordinance of staggers and bounds. Moves like Senkyu Tai and Atai, as well as good navigation in and out of low leading backsway and slide stances, will have the enemy thinking about protecting their footwear in no time, opening them up to mids and attacks that leave them side-turned and subject to even more guessing games. Getting away from the boy from Bordeaux can also be infuriating, since he's armed with a lot of great tools for bullying and tripping up escape attempts. Fight or flight, Leon can ensnare the opponent in his games either way. When chasing his prey, far-reaching linear strikes like Senshi Po keep Leon up close and personal, and attempts to sidestep can be swept up with his further range closing and fully circular mid-low mix-ups between Tenchin Ryo Inkyaku and Shichiso Tai. The downside to having such superior lows is that the knuckleheads you're fighting against are always looking for them, so finding that first opportunity to sink your hooks in can require some groundwork. In addition, his light frame and low damage also necessitate good situational awareness, since wall damage and ring outs are going to be more reliable methods of closing rounds rather than just slugging it out. Also, one wrong move can cost you a good chunk of your life bar and all your positioning, so be sure to keep the opponent's back to the nearest edge and choose from your rotation of options wisely. Overall then, the fleet-footed Frenchman is a good all-rounder who specializes in stalking his prey and striking quickly. So if you enjoy the thrill of the hunt, then Leon is your man. Kiss.
Ha! Hee-ya! See? I thought I'm better.
Pai Chan. Daughter of Lau Chan and temperamental Hong Kong movie star, Pai Chan is the wielder of the legendary martial art Enseiken. Pai's style is all about making you stray from the path and then punishing you when you lose your way. With both the fastest jab and the fastest mid in the game, the Blue Swallow will intimidate with pokes that can quickly build frame advantage and leave the opponent in terrifying situations, made all the more dizzying by her Bokutai and back-turned stances. Her Soansho is a 12-frame mid that can slip through even the tightest of gaps and cause mischief to anyone that's not willing to play honest. As well as her stance options, her reversals and elusive high and mid traversing strikes like her Riken Sway and Soka Sway can even make the most aggressive opponents hesitate. And whether the opponent is overly aggressive or overly moral, Pai is comfortable, as it allows her those crucial opportunities to set up her traps. Although she's relatively complete in terms of moveset, she deals out her damage in small doses that do require restraint, patience, and observation, especially against anyone willing to play by the book and weather the storm. Pai's light frame also means that you'll have to land a lot more blows than you take, unfortunately. That said, if you like to antagonize your opponent and win by death from 1,000 cuts, then Pai is the star of the show.
Despite suffering from stints of brainwashing and memory loss, Sarah Bryant has managed to retain years of martial arts and hitman training, acquiring techniques from Taekwondo, Savate, Karate, and her brother Jacky's Jeet Kune Do. She has grace, she has power, but most importantly, she's got the ability to zip knees first towards the enemy, resulting in overbearing offense that often leaves her with the advantage. Key to this ability and her game plan in general is the all-or-nothing flamingo stance. Several of Sarah's moves and strings can cancel into this stance, and if she's given the opportunity to do so, the follow-ups can be quite troublesome. From here, she can seize frame advantage, hit the opponent with high-low mix-ups, and even has the threat of a throw. Much like Lau's Koke, The trade-off for offensive prowess here is that Sarah loses a lot of her mobility and the ability to guard entirely, so be sure to watch your step. Sarah is a double-edged sword through and through. Her best combos require more character and stance awareness than most in order to get every last drop out of them. But she's got a great backup plan thanks to some of the most oppressive okizeme in the game, with moves like full spin heel kick. So opting for something short and sweet, sweeping them off their feet, and then keeping on the heat can have your enemy beat. Due to an all-round lack of defensive moves and not as much going for her in the way of tackling strong mids, Sarah tends to want to attack the opponent from the side, and is armed with some great tools like backspin kick, reverse high kick, and neck chopper to make that happen, as well as more high-low mischief when she's there. Even the good guys can blow it against an aggressive, side-attacking Sarah, since her rapid-firing kicks and sweeps can quickly end rounds. Just be careful not to run away with the advantage, because if Sarah's the one left side-turned and in flamingo stance, she's in for a world of hurt. So, a great all-rounder with canned mix-ups and out-of-the-box set play that favors offense and well-placed impatience. So long as you know your limits, Sarah Bryant is no pushover.
I've got grace and power. You've got zip.
Shun D. You'd better not make a habit of fighting the elderly, because you never know when you might bump into Shun D. His iconic drunken kung fu may look clumsy and comical, but it's actually a sneaky means of introducing a character with a meter into the Virtua Fighter series. As the drinks counter in the corner goes up, and his face gets redder, Shun D's kung fu gets more and more deadly. With each drink, his damage output steadily increases, and he adds more and more moves to his already massive command list. To make matters worse, some of the moves unlocked include their own drink and animations too, so if you fail to contain Shun early on, he can become quite the unstoppable force, as his drinks lead to more and more opportunities to drink again. With that in mind, the game plan is simple here. Get drunk and get the party started. At 4 drinks, he gains access to his backhand Suisen Gyoin, a hit confirmable half circular that covers a good range, allowing Shun to take more advantage of his evasive movement and strike from a distance. It can also now string onto the back of his punch string Renkan Gyoinshu. At 6 drinks, he unlocks Rengeki Kokashitai, which when paired up with the aforementioned Renkan Gyoinshu, puts the defender in a high-low guessing game due to the rapidly deploying low kick. And at 10 drinks, Shun is the life of the party, with access to a potent throw game made possible by the new threat of his Gohai Senbu, a high damage throw that gives Shun an additional 4 drinks every time it lands, causing Shun to grow exponentially in power. Up until this point, his best throws, which are still very strong and threatening, mostly require throw breaks in the opposite direction to the Gohai Senbu, so if the opponent isn't playing bartender throughout the match, the effects here can be quite sobering. Of course, this dependency on his bottle also makes some of the setups quite predictable and controllable. An opponent with a game plan geared towards denying Shun any drinking room and an awareness of the right combos to sober him up can really leave him high and dry. There's a lot on the shelf with Shun, not just in drink-locked moves, but also a gigantic move list divided across several stances. But find the right mix and get through his hangovers, and you can create one hell of a destructive cocktail.
The biggest and heaviest fighter in the roster, banned from sumo competition because he was too violent, Taka Arashi was a welcome reappearance after taking some time out in the 4th installment. This Yokozuna can unleash ridiculously damaging combos, and also claims the title of Best Grappler in the game thanks to a true 50-50 mix-up with his directional throws. To add to this already incredibly good deal, Big Boy Taka is in his own weight category, making combos less effective against him and lowering the risk of his bold choices if the opponent doesn't have character-specific punishes ready to go. If the big 50-50s and exclusive weight class weren't enough, they've also given Taka great long-range whiff punishes like Kachi Age, annoying pressure strings such as Suppari, brutal mid-strings like Tenyaburi, as well as a nice block punish game. All this comes at a price though. Taka doesn't have any specific way to deal with down jabs, and most of his combo launches are punishable on block. But since he doesn't take much damage, it's up to you whether you want to worry about that. Most notably, Taka has a slower crouching animation than any other character. This forces him into nitaku or two-choice guesses much more often, which starts to rein in some of his abuse at an intermediate to higher level. Despite his unique gameplay quirks, Taka is a friendly character for beginners and pretty cheap at lower levels of play. His execution isn't particularly difficult, the payoff is high, and thanks to his unique weight class, Taka gives a more forgiving margin of error in case of a bad read. If you want a big, heavy, hard-hitting truck to pile through your opponents, at the expense of some defensive tools, then Taka Arashi is most certainly the character for you.
しばらくそこで寝とけ。
Vanessa Lewis. Vanessa is an incredibly unique character. Introduced in Virtua Fighter 4, she is listed as practicing Vale Tudo. While not a martial art in itself, this Brazilian rule set can be loosely translated to everything allowed or no holds barred. Vanessa is a deceptively complex character. With two main stances, offensive and defensive, she is effectively two characters in one. Her offensive stance gives her access to a large volume of string-based attacks and catch throws. For example, her offensive stance Lightning Lancer Tackle gives her a brutal three-way ground throw. This three-way escape can also be initiated with some of her offensive stance strings, such as Crimson Lancer. This stance also opens up tools such as Bunker Buster, an EX high attack that has airborne frames and leaves Vanessa at +2 on block. On the other hand, her defensive stance opens up her Sabaki options, such as her defensive elbow and parry and high kick. This stance is best used against highly aggressive competition, but struggles to open up defensive and turtling opponents. In comparison, her offensive stance may be lacking in defensive options, but gives the player access to a variety of options to open them up instead. Vanessa also has a unique stance called Intercept Position, known by some as the Inoki. This stance can be entered using attacks from defensive stance or while getting up, and gives her an extremely low hurt box, meaning that she can remain relatively safe within this position, while also having access to high damage lows and mids, sabakis, and a very threatening throw. Despite Vanessa's huge and complete moveset, her real issues are in her weight class. As a tall, lightweight character, Vanessa is susceptible to large combos and can eat huge damage from everyone in the cast. As such, Vanessa players need to have a solid defense and know when to switch from defense to offense quickly and without pause. If you're looking for a highly mobile character with a huge move list and options for almost every situation, then Vanessa is a secure choice.
On the battlefield, you'd be dead.
Hailing from Canada and weighing in at 222 pounds, we have the keen woodsman and powerful wrestler, Wolf Hawkfield. He doesn't have a lot of gimmicks to make the opponent impatient, but what he misses in pressure, he makes up for in raw, unbridled damage. With strong mids that double as launchers for devastating combos or throws, Wolf will either eat a big chunk of life or get a strategic position in the ring whenever he gets in. No cells in sight. Though Wolf is considered only the second strongest grappler, first place in the podium is reserved for Taka, he makes up for that with catch throws that are inescapable once they connect. Building up opportunities to use the likes of his Diamond Cutter and Shining Wizard really can throw the enemy off their game. Once they're feeling powerless to the throw game, it's time to break out that signature giant swing and Burning Hammer, which takes off half a life bar on contact. Having good fundamentals is a key requirement to playing Wolf effectively. Once you have a chance to do damage, you have to take it. But once you make the right guess, the rewards are tremendous. Wolf is armed with several great hard counters to support this tactical guessing angle, as all good grapplers should be. One underrated option is his pounding elbow, which not only traverses any telegraphed low jabs, but rewards you with heavy down attacks and ground throws for making the right reads, as well as serving as a crucial tool when you have to go shoot and keep an unexpected wall bounce going on the fly. Another way for Wolf to keep momentum once he starts dealing damage is by taking full advantage of the Okizeme pressure. His 50-50 between mids and throws or catch throws can make the opponent scared to even stand up in the attempt to avoid the pressure. However, Wolf is one of the few characters that can grab the opponent while on the ground and force the two-way guess anyway. The skill barrier with Wolf is quite low. Combos aren't hard to execute, and all the commands are pretty straightforward, making him an underrated choice for new players. Once you level up though, you'll notice that it's harder to win due to his lack of pressuring tools. But with good fundamentals and confident reads, this ravenous Wolf can still be deadly. If you're sniffing out for a character that can bite off huge chunks of life at a time, then Wolf may be a good choice for you. Now go show them who's the real wrestler here.
To be strong is beautiful.
Thank you very much for watching and supporting us throughout the Virtua Fighter 5 overview series. It's been an absolute pleasure working with Wireman and Blessy on these videos, and we can't thank them enough. Also, a massive shout out to the Virtua Fighter community for being so incredibly welcoming, friendly, and generous with their time. In the future, you can look forward to some more systems-focused videos to help you get into Virtua Fighter. And of course, character overviews for our next project, which we'll reveal very soon. Have a good day, and catch you on the next one.